What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the W Sports Podcast. Jimothy, Tubby are back at it again as we bring you all the news and notes about the sports world right now. So, Tubby, welcome back to the show.
How is it going? I don't know about everyone else, but I'm already ready for summer to be gone.
Yeah. Why is that, Tubby?
It's so humid outside in Oklahoma.
It is. It's nasty. It's a hot week. I looked at the
Yeah.
weather. It's in the upper 80s, mid to upper 80s up here in KCMO for the most part this weekend. I'll be in Oklahoma for a couple days for work, and I'm not looking forward to the heat. Is it windy? Tell me, is it windy there?
Not the last couple of
Just
days.
sitting on you. Okay. I feel like it's always windy.
Yeah, no, it had been for like a couple weeks straight. Now it's just hot and humid.
Yeah, great. Love it. Can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I'll be inside most of the time, but, still hit. On the plus side, so just heads up, everyone, next week the W Sports Podcast will be on break for Memorial Day weekend. I'm doing some traveling. Tubby's got to, celebrate the holiday as we all should. So with that in mind, we'll have a week off after this. I'll be in Oregon, actually, and I looked at it. We'll be camping that weekend for some of it, and the low's in the mid-30s, so looking forward to it.
Hey, I'll take the low 30s over 86 to 90 degrees than humidity of like 97 any day.
Yeah, we get this, man. You and I, it totally makes sense. A group of our friends here, we actually had this discussion one time. We could probably all agree that, let's say, 70 degrees is a overall comfortable temperature for most people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so would you rather have 30 degrees warmer than that at 100 or 30 degrees cooler than that at 40?
Oh, yeah. Give me the 40s all day.
Most people in this group of people said they would take 100, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
No.
What am I thinking?
It's so much harder to cool yourself off than it cool yourself off than it is to warm yourself up.
Brutal. So, I'm here for the cold weather. Weather. Yesterday I was at a baseball game. I sent you the video of it. Saw some winning baseball for the Kansas City Royals. It's great. Great seats. It was weird. I've never sat in that, like the twos level, so the 200 level. But it was really soft seating. It was really great. It was a lot of fun. It was a gift from some friends up here. And man, the Royals are playing on fire.
Dude,
they really are.
They look legit right now.
Yeah, we're going to see. So that's one thing we'll get to here because I have a couple questions to get your opinion on. I think people are going to want to know when it comes to baseball because we're almost to Memorial Day, which is a staple point in the baseball season. You either figured it out or you need to go ahead and tear it down because over the next 6 weeks, you're going to be trading some players. But even bigger news than that, we had the NFL schedule come out this week, which I know gets a lot of people hyped. We already know who the opponents are going to be, but now you know what order and what time and what day they're not on. Kansas City Chiefs don't play on Tuesday. That's it this year. They play every other day but Tuesday. So here we go.
Poor Tuesday.
Yeah. Some of the teams that I saw with some of the hardest schedules was the AFC North outside Baltimore. I think maybe it was Baltimore. No, it was Cincinnati, I think. All of them have top 5, almost top 10, easy top 10, worst strength of schedule. It's so hard to say. Toughest schedules. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Any initial thoughts that you had from the schedule release?
So, the Bears. I mean, Caleb Williams, you got a gift. I mean, you have the third or fourth easiest schedule in the NFL this year. Great for. I mean, it's great for him that he gets to play easier schedule rookie year because we all know he's going to be. I mean, they already named him the starter, so we know he's going to be the starter. So. I mean, good for him that he gets to start out his NFL career with an easy schedule. I mean, the AFC South or the NFC South again. You're in the NFC South. Congratulations. You guys have been so bad. You have the easiest schedules once again.
Yeah. The AFC South right now is a lot like the AL Central, like the Central divisions in baseball the last couple of years. So, yeah, it's been pretty rough. Caleb Williams also gets the extra Hall of Fame game this year. Do you think he plays much in that? I know we're a little bit ahead of our game here, but how much do you think he actually gets to play in that one?
A drive, maybe 2.
Do they need to get rid of that game? If you're not going to let these guys actually play, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird the way they do the preseason. I mean, if I'm them, you don't want your starting quarterback to get hurt. It makes sense and all, but he's also a rookie. Don't you want to get in as many snaps as possible? And live game setting, maybe even if it is the preseason before he's thrown into deep in the NFL.
Yeah. And if they have the easiest schedule in the regular season, they would technically have the toughest schedule in the preseason, which absolutely doesn't matter. But this is their schedule in the preseason: Houston, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City.
Yeah, no, that's not easy.
No, so I mean, not like it'll actually matter, but I mean,
Yeah.
to get some wins, that's some good ones. But any other initial thoughts? I mean, your Packers. How are you feeling about their schedule for this season?
Once week 7 hits, that's when it really starts. I mean, you got some decent teams early on. You got the Rams, the first 5 weeks. You play in Brazil on week 1, and against the Eagles. So that's kind of we don't know who's going to win that game.
Yeah.
And then you get the Colts, AR 5, 15, whatever you want to call them now. Coming back off the injury, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, week 7 to 18, you've got a gauntlet. I mean, they have like the 4th or 5th toughest schedule in the NFL right now. So based off a record from last year, it's going to be tough for them. I mean, I'm glad to see we get a Thanksgiving game again. It's weird that we're playing the Dolphins.
It's weird. It should be the Lions, but it's fine.
Yeah. So, I think that they are still a very good contender for the NFC North Championship, just because I think you get a whole year older with having the youngest team in the NFL last year. You get, like you said, a whole year older, the new defensive system coming in that suits most of these guys better than the old one. I still think they'll be fine, but I think they can fight for that, because at least for them, the Lions aren't too far behind them on the strength of schedule, and that's going to be your biggest fight for the NFC North more than likely this year. But it's going to be tougher than it was last year. Last year they had like the 6th or 7th easiest schedule. This year it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, well, and just to point out for the Packers, they play one division game in the first 8 weeks of the season. The last 9 plus the bye week, so 10 weeks of the season, they play 5 other division games. The Lions have a similar issue. I would say issue, just circumstance for them, where they could either make up a lot of ground or lose a lot. As after, including Thanksgiving Day, they will play 1, 2, 3, 4 games in 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 games in 6 weeks of divisional games. So I mean, that is just hitting it every single week. Those games are going to matter. So I do like the aspect of the second half of the season, how important these games are. I kind of like that a lot. But yeah, you talk about the 2 teams that are going to have to go up against it to start this season, or to hopefully go up against it towards the end of the season. It's going to be a good matchup for both of them.
I mean, the Bears, they have 6 of their final 8 games are all NFC North. I mean, they're all their NFC
division,
North games,
which is weird.
Or 6 of the final. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple other like interesting like nuances throughout the Ravens. They never play more than road games twice, back to back. So they only have 2 back to back, or 1 back to back road game. That's it. And then they have the most added rest on their schedule, even though they have one of the tougher ones with being in the AFC North. They have 16 days of added rest to their NFL schedule compared to everyone else. And then the Jaguars, I get, London is basically your home away from home, but it takes away from, Jacksonville. You're building a brand new stadium there. You're playing 2 games again, back-to-back weeks in London, takes away from your home schedule. So now you only have 7 home games compared to having 8 this year. Yeah. So it's just kind of some of those nuances that, kind of catch you off guard.
Yeah. You should probably go to that game against the Eagles, Packers Eagles. Did you see ticket prices right now? As low as $1,159. Just saying.
Yeah.
Every other game is like $150 to
$250. That's insane.
Yeah, so that should be it should be an interesting crowd. I don't think we've ever played a game in Brazil. We've definitely done South America. We've done Central America, but we haven't done South America.
I think Mexico is the only.
Okay.
Yeah. Nope. This is the first game in Brazil, and I guess the Packers have a huge following in Brazil for some reason. I don't know if it's because they're green and gold and the national flag is green and gold for Brazil. I don't know. Yeah. But for some reason they got a big following and they got the game. And I'm like, yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. What What do you think about the NFL doing Christmas Day games again? They've clearly said the NBA, yeah, no one cares. We're gonna go ahead and play games on Christmas Day. The only difference is this year it is a Wednesday, which has resulted in pushing some games up early on a Saturday that they normally wouldn't. They're gonna be doing that not during college football season, but during bowl season. Not a big deal, but you see that happen, and it's going to be streamed on Netflix.
Yeah, it just adds to the amount of stuff you have to buy to watch one or two games here and there. Like I saw someone like posted, it was like, oh, if you for the NFL season, it'll cost you a total of $807 in streaming fees to watch all these games.
I'm glad they added it up.
Yeah, I'm like, it gets ridiculous. I get, it's a business, and so they're trying to make as much money as possible. So Netflix said, hey, here's a chunk of change. You can, stream that on our network now instead of Peacock or Prime or whatever other streaming outlet there is. And so I think I like having football on Christmas, but on a Wednesday it's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't like this such a quick turnaround for some of these teams. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan. This one, it's brutal. I know that they're going to go Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, and then they're going to get essentially the week and a half between the next games. But that is a brutal schedule turnaround that late in the week. Plus, to be right on the Christmas, I'm sure that there are, that's the price you pay when you're great, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys. We talked about Caleb Williams and his. I think one of the interesting ones. You got to look at number 2. At what point do you think that Washington they're going to put their new quarterback out on the field? Do you think he starts the season, or is this going to be kind of a wait and see? The key that everyone always looks at is, we'll just wait and look at the bye week. That's the natural one, but their bye week isn't until week 14, which leaves them just 4 games left in the season. So there's no way that they're waiting that long to get their hopeful franchise QB out there in Daniels. So what are your thoughts on there? What's a good timeline to get him there?
I mean, ideally you set him as long as you can. I so wholeheartedly believe in setting the quarterbacks, these rookie quarterbacks, and letting them sit as long as they can to learn more, because the game is so much different than it is in college. Oh, yeah. But I have a feeling for him, he's probably going to start right off the bat.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure who their backup quarterback is now, with Jacoby Brissett not there and Sam Howell not there anymore.
Jeff Driscoll.
But
they did sign Sam Hartman.
Yeah, so there's your answer. He will be starting week 1 because they're not going to start Jeff Driscoll and they're not going to start Sam Hartman.
Marcus Mariota. I didn't see that. He just snuck in there.
So maybe they start Mariota. I don't know. I don't know if I still really view him as much of a bridge quarterback for, maybe a couple weeks. So maybe at the latest we'll see him week 3 or 4. But I imagine he's going to start the season.
Yeah, starting the season. So then that means he gets at Tampa Bay, New York, which is actually not a terrible way to start the season if you're going to have a quarterback out there before you get Cincinnati, Arizona, Cleveland, Baltimore. So not a challenging, not a terrible start, I guess I'll put it that way. But let's look at New England then, because you obviously got to think through, what about Drake May? How long? Because Gerard Mayo has already said he's got a lot of work to do. Even Bill Belichick on the draft said, he's got a lot of work to do with that footwork. And there's just elements of this game, because he's going to be a rookie. He's going to take some time. But to start out at Cincinnati, you also will have at New York Jets, who do have a good defense, at San Francisco. That's 3 of their first 4 games are on the road against really solid, talented teams. That puts and then you go Miami, Houston, and then Jacksonville. So up until week 7, there's really not this huge breeding point. If on paper, again, it could all change once the season starts. But when do you think, one, he starts as the starter, Drake May, and then if not, what point do you think they try to sneak him in there? Because they're by week, same thing, not until week 14.
Yeah, no, I've been on record saying I thought New England was the perfect spot for him, because you have Jacoby Brissett there. He has been there. He's been a starting quarterback, been a decent starting quarterback. I set him. If I had the option, and I don't know if they will, they have the option to do it. I sit him the whole season. I'm not playing Drake May this year, but if I'm going to play him, it's going to be week 14, because I feel like he needs, out of those 3 quarterbacks, he has one of the higher ceilings, but he also has probably the lowest floor out of all of them. because of his footwork and some of the decision making. You get that footwork worked out. I think he could be a really good, as high as potential as Justin Herbert type guy. Mm-hmm. But he needs to sit, and I think that they were smart bringing in Jacoby Brissett, because we've seen him start a couple years ago with the Browns and have a decent success, and like we know they're not going to compete. They're not pushing for a playoff spot anytime soon. They don't have quite the weapons around him, and I feel like if you start him right off the bat, throw him out there, we're going to see exactly what happened with Bryce Young, where he's running for his life, making stupid mistakes. And luckily for him, at least he's a bigger quarterback and he can probably take, some of those hits, but he's going to be taking a lot of hits, unnecessary hits. And I like I said, week 14, if I'm starting him this year, that's the first, if he's going to start, that's the first week that he's starting, after that bye week, that's the first time I'm starting him. If I have the option, if I'm Gerard Mayo and I'm the GM, not starting him at all.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. That's fair enough. So any other big team, hey, this schedule, this looks crazy. I mean, for me, the Chiefs, Baltimore, Cincinnati, thanks. I appreciate that. That's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
And then to have at San Francisco, at Las Vegas, that's a pretty tough one back-to-back. After a bye week, but still back-to-back. And then to finish with 3 out of 4 on the road. They're going to have the biggest target on their back. I don't know that the NFL wants them to go 3 in a row, but man, that would be sick.
I mean, why wouldn't you want them to go 3 in a row?
Exactly.
To me, if I'm them, I'm like, yeah, let's go for 3 in a row. Let's break history. The hype's around them. We're seeing the New England type effect, because now all these kids, kids that were our age back whenever the Patriots were winning, are Patriots fans. And then, they live in Oklahoma, Kansas City, Texas, blah, blah, blah. They're New England fans. And now we're seeing that effect right now, where you have kids that, even though they're not in Kansas City, they're seeing Kansas City win all the time, and now they're Kansas City fans. And so why would you want to, drain your cash cow? Because people are buying the jerseys, they're buying into everything. Taylor Swift around it all. I mean,
it helps.
It has blown up and has helped the NFL out so much. So if I'm them, I'm wanting them to go 3 in a row. May not be the best optics. Oh, they won 3 in a row. Hey, we're in the business to make money. That's where the most money's coming from.
Yeah, and I would argue not the whole time was Tom Brady the best quarterback in the league. At that point, he had the best team or the best coach. It's weird to see, because this is the best quarterback right now. I would argue you could say him probably the best coach, and it's tough.
Yeah,
so it makes sense to go 3 in a row. So let's run it back again.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm a Packers fan. I say I want the Packers to win, but I mean, if you're talking football, I mean, if you're the NFL, that's the best thing for you, because like I said, the hype is already there right now, and everyone's loving what's going on. I mean, not everyone. There's a lot of turning into haters because the Chiefs are winning, but there's also that bigger faction of people that are going, hey, I'm now a Chiefs fan because I'm seeing them on and all this stuff, especially these kids, and that's the future of the NFL is the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look at that. Well said. Make that a commercial. Jared Goff also got absolutely paid in his last, re-signed a new deal with $53 million is the average annual salary, which is crazy. This guy's a formal number 1 overall pick. He's getting paid like it. 170 total million guaranteed. And it's a 4-year, $212 million deal. I realize I said that backwards, but each one of those numbers is way more than I expected. I think it's an overpay. I get that this guy, he's good for the system. He's done. He's taken the moments and he's won. We've seen that with Dan Campbell style of 4th and 1, go for it. 4th and 4, but you're at your own 37, go for it. We've seen him succeed in that, but I don't know. I think this is a bit of an overpay, and they're unfortunately not going to. They shouldn't be in a position to get a high draft pick in the next couple of years. So then, if it's not him, then you start to play that musical chairs thing of, well, what guy is going to be out here? Do we bid on a 40-year-old Kirk Cousins? Do we, all this other stuff? But I think it's an overpay. I said that already, but what do you think, Tubby?
Yeah, it's. I think with where the market is, it's probably on par with where the market is. But yeah, it's difficult because for me, he's not a game changer when it comes to quarterback. He's he has proven a lot of people wrong over the last couple of years with the way he's played. But he also didn't play. I don't think he played as good, even though they made it further into the playoffs. Made it to the playoffs, made it further. I don't think he played as good down the stretch of last season up until the playoffs that he did the year before. And so it kind of makes you wonder, yeah, he was able to win a couple playoff games, but then they also go and blow, the lead, and how much of that's on him is, here or there. But it's one of those things that's like, can he be the reason you win a Super Bowl? I don't know if that's the case with him. And so it does make it feel, maybe slightly overpaid, being I think third highest, on average quarterback. Mm-hmm. But all it did now is it raised the price tag for Dak Prescott. It raised the price tag for Jordan Love. And raised the price tag for Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah. And of those three, which one do you think will have the better return on investment when you say Tua, Jordan, and Dak? Because they're all going to be compared. They're all going to re-sign the deals at the same time. They're going to be pairing a little bit here. Who has the best shot?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound homerish, but I think it's Jordan Love because he is the youngest. He is only 25 years old. I think he has the better of the teams because they have such a young team. They made it further last year than everyone expected them to, make it. And they were, that this close from making it to the NFC Championship game against the Lions. So they, I think, set themselves up in a much better position to win. And I think what Jordan Love did last year, first year starting that back end stretch of that game, that season where he was, just so dominant. It was a 22, 23 touchdowns, one interception within that, time span of those final 7 to 8 games. I think really showed what he can be. And I think that, we've seen Dak. He's failed in the playoffs. We've seen Tua, big moments are too big for Tua right now. The playoff games, trying to get into the playoffs, injuries, I think play a big part into it too. So I think Love will bring, had the best return on investment, but also we're talking about a guy that has only played 1 year. Mm-hmm. And so was it just a flash in the pan type season, or is he what he was at that back end of that season where he was just, a top tier quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, when I think about those three, I 100% agree. Jordan Love has the potential. He should be the best. One, because he's the youngest, but two, look at the track record of what the Packers have done. I understand that it's literally been like 30-something years since this track record started, but they do it. Was it 95? What was the first year that he started? 93?
Favre? 92. I want to say he got traded in 92. He started because of Majkowski got hurt. I want to say that's when the transition kind of started. Majkowski got hurt that 92 season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought I could quickly find it. And 1992 he came in. Yep, 92. Yep. So that's when he traded. Yeah. So looking at that, they've been doing this for 30 plus years. Some reason it's worked with the two quarterbacks. This will be the third. I agree. Dak Prescott just looks, he's good, but he's not going to be that X factor. And then two of my biggest fear is that he just won't quite get it done. And I'm tired of the hype around Odell Beckham Jr. signing with this. Look, who cares? This guy is older. He's all name. When it comes to the NFL, I can't do what he can, but he can't do what a lot of these other guys can. It just doesn't matter. So quit it, people. Yeah. All right. So the Lions, I'm on Ross St. Brown, Penny Sewell, and now Jared Goff. They still got to sign Aiden Hutchinson at some point. They're going to have to. And this guy is, the bar is definitely raised. Detroit's they're going to have to really see it all the way through. And they have the talent. They got a lot of talent on that team. So
you also got to think too. In the next couple of years, you got Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Branch.
I don't think they'll sign Jahmyr Gibbs.
They probably won't.
They'll go find someone else. But but I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's a lot of names. So I have this question I put on the show sheet because I'm curious to think of the players that are in the NFL right now. Are there any active running backs that you're like Hall of Famer?
One.
Okay, Derrick Henry, right?
Oh, two.
Two? Okay, who's his second?
CMC.
Oh, okay. But how many career rushing yards does CMC have?
Yeah, that I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I get that part, but there's also the part where he's had 1,000 yards receiving. So I think that you look at it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he's healthy, and last few years he has stayed relatively healthy for what he has the years before that. I think Derrick Henry, yeah, is Sherlock Hall of Famer. I think CMC will get there as long as the health he's able to stay
Okay.
healthy because he's just so dynamic in both
Yeah.
aspects of the game.
Well, let me ask you this then: is Alvin Kamara a Hall of Fame running back?
That's tough. I get. I mean, because Kamara's numbers are incredible, especially early on in his career. It's the numbers have dipped over the last couple of years, and part of that is due to the fact that he has fallen off a little bit, and the team has gotten worse, a lot worse. I mean, you transition from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston and Derek Carr and Taysom Hill, so it has made it harder for him. The offensive line has gotten much worse over the last few years. I think that he's on the cusp. It just depends on how he finishes his career.
Because right now, this year, give it 3 games, he will be over 6,000 yards rushing. McCaffrey's at 6,185. Already, right now, they are the only 2 active running backs with over 4,000 yards receiving. CMC at 43, and Alvin's at 42.19. I mean, so they're eerily close. 123 receiving touchdowns to 29, rushing touchdowns 54 to 52. I mean, their numbers are so close. That's why I bring it up, because I don't think anyone's looking at Alvin Kamara and saying Hall of Fame, but you are looking at Christian McCaffrey and saying, I could see it as long as he stays healthy. And Derrick Henry, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the dude, 9,500 yards rushing. He's absolutely, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's the projections, I think, looking forward, because we haven't, the injuries were a problem for Christian McCaffrey. Seems like, he gets banged up here every once in a while, maybe miss a game here and there. But the trajectory looks a lot better with him over the next few years than it does with Alvin Kamara, where his numbers have slightly dipped. And so that's where so I was saying it depends on how he finishes his career. If he can stay this steady, what he's done the last couple of years, I think it will be enough for him to get there. But if we see it take another dip this year, I think it's going to make it a little bit harder for him, because I don't know if people will look at the back. It'll kind of have like the Andrew Jones effect to it, where the back end of his career, people look at it and go,
Well, that dude should be a Hall of Famer. Just saying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's where I think it may come into effect. Not saying that he's the, one of the greatest center fielders, like Andrew Jones is one of the greatest center fielders. Not saying Kamara is one of the greatest running backs, but maybe in this era, he is.
Yeah.
In the way he's played.
Yeah, the reason I brought this up is I think we are about to go into a lull where once Derrick Henry retires, he should be over 10,000 yards rushing, assuming he doesn't have any crazy injuries. He should get close to, if not over 100 rushing touchdowns, which is insane. Yeah. And then he's never been a receiver out of the backfield, but he is I get that one. Then you have Ezekiel Elliott, who, I mean, he had such a hot start, but he's barely behind on yardage. He has more receiving touchdowns and about 1,000 yards more receiving yards. Excuse me. But I just don't see Zeke as a Hall of Fame running back. So then I go Nick Chubb, no. Joe Mixon, no. You say CMC, okay, I can see that one based off what you said. Aaron Jones is next, then Alvin Kamara, Jacobs, and then you have a couple quarterbacks. Then Saquon Barkley, no. So how about this one, Jonathan Taylor?
Maybe. It just depends on how well he is able to come back. I mean, he had a good finish, then got hurt again towards the end of the season. It's going to really come down to the health factor in the next couple of years, if he can maybe kind of hit somewhat of that Derrick Henry stride.
And that's what's crazy is what running backs are coming out of college football into the NFL. You're going to have this massive gap until we switch the NFL game to more running, which we've talked about how important it is to effectively run the ball, but also doing it to where you're getting 20-ish carries, a game, and finding out ways to stay healthy, all that kind of stuff. you're going to see a Hall of Fame where there's this massive gap of running backs, which for a point, for a long time in the NFL, that was the staple. That was the bell cow. That was the one that you rode into the Super Bowl, run. And so many great running backs in the Hall of Fame that they're gonna be. It's gonna be a ghost town.
The one thing is that maybe like guys in the NFL right now may miss out, but it may open the door a little bit more for guys that have been on the cusp and are getting beat out because there's other guys coming along, and we'll hit that, like you said, you'll hit that spot where we're going to be looking at the NFL players right now where we're like, yeah, there's just not a whole lot of them. So maybe you see guys. I mean, I imagine Fred Taylor is going to get in. But you got guys like, I think Steven Jackson is the guy that a lot of people don't bring up. I mean, Steven Jackson was so good behind a bad offensive line for so many years with the Rams, and you go and look at his numbers, and they're so close to, guys like Fred Taylor that we're talking about that, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame soon. But, when talks about Steven Jackson, a guy like Corey Dillon, another guy that was so good with a really bad team and put up these, monster numbers, and Marshawn Lynch will probably get in, but you got, AD and Frank Gore will eventually get in. But you've got some of those guys that are been on the cusp, but haven't quite gotten over that maybe now, since we're not going to have a whole lot of NFL caliber Hall of Famers right now, that maybe they'll finally get that push towards the NFL Hall of Fame that they deserve and aren't getting the credit for right now.
Yeah. No, I definitely, and I like that too. That'll help bridge it, but you're going to have a pipeline issue where there's nothing coming. Like it's down the lane. But what's weird is that CMC and Alvin Kamara came in the same year in 2017. How many 1,000-yard rushing seasons does CMC have?
Ooh, 4.
Correct. How many 1,000-yard receiving seasons does he have?
2.
How many? 1. So 5 total. 1. How many combined does Alvin Kamara have? Not combined like all together, but like 1,000-yard rushing or 1,000-yard receiving.
Oh, okay. 4.
0.
Oh, wow.
He's never eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark in one category. He has obviously cumulative.
Yeah.
And so, overall, that's what's crazy is overall, if you look at this, games played since they came in. See, this is a weird fact for me. CMC is at 91 and Kamara is at 101. 10 games difference and it feels like so much more when I say those numbers. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that is wild.
Just throwing it out there. All right. Maybe next week we'll throw in some, or not next week, in a couple weeks we'll do maybe wide receivers. I think obviously that's where you're going to have the influx of just stupid numbers, people coming in, still not breaking the record of, Jerry Rice or anything like that. But we'll talk about who could beat Jerry Rice's record.
Maybe. There may be. I mean, hey, look at Justin Jefferson on that trajectory.
Yeah, well, I think J.J. McCarthy's going to have a lot to say about that pretty soon. Is how many
if he signs the extension.
It's true. But for the record, the greatest wide receivers can do it with bad quarterbacks. Just ask DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson did it with okay quarterbacks, not good ones, but okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. While we're talking football, bro, you saw the hype video for the release of college football, dude.
Man.
I don't do anything online when it comes to sports games. Pretty much. I mean, I might with this one because it's been so long. Is it worth? If I wasn't going to do anything online, is it worth ordering the better edition for $30 more for 3 days?
I don't know. It depends on what exactly more you get, but man, I am so pumped for this.
Yeah, dude. And one thing I didn't realize that I was gonna like so much was seeing names on the jerseys and being like, oh, that's Arnold right there. That's not QB10. That's Arnold. Yeah. The Quinn Ewers one, I just want to say, like, bro, just mention. Why didn't they just put Manning in there? That would have been better. We would have loved it. That's what we're all going to do.
Well, Manning is technically not on the game.
Did he not sign it?
He did not sign it.
Oh, I forgot, dude. I forgot about that. I remember that now. Whatever. Who cares? Then, I'm going to leave you. Yeah, that's so dumb. That is so stupid, dude. Come on. We want to
Yeah,
focus on the game. Isn't that what he said? We want to focus on playing
yeah.
football. This has
I want to. Yeah, I want to focus on actually playing the game, an actual game. I'm like, dude, where is it going to take your distraction from? You don't have to play it if you don't want to play it. People are
yeah,
going to make you anyways, so you
yeah.
might as well just sign it and save someone, 2 or 3 minutes of having to create a player.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they said they will, because it's all coming back now. They will create a generic version of a quarterback in the traditional Texas pipeline. So, not
Mm-hmm.
Colt, well, not Colt McCoy, but what was his younger brother?
Case.
Case McCoy. We'll give Case McCoy instead. I like
Oh
that.
gosh. Yeah.
I honestly would have been happy if they just gave me the old game and upgrade. And maybe the graphics look the same. I don't even care.
Yeah. I said the exact same thing today. I was talking to my buddy Quincy, and he was like, all they have to do is take the gameplay and move it from 2014 and just add the new graphics, and everyone would be in heaven.
Ecstatic.
He's like, yeah. I was like, I mean, you don't have to mess with anything. Just take the same gameplay, the platform, and just move it over to this game, and then throw on the new graphics, because the new graphics look pretty sick.
They do.
I'm like, everyone would be so happy about how the game was, because I think everyone's biggest fear is that they're going to turn it into a college version of Madden.
Yeah, which is not fun. And
No.
another thing that for some reason NCAA does really well, Madden does really poorly, and for me, I don't know why it should matter, but it does. It's the fans in the stands.
Yeah.
It is different in college football games, just like it's like 2K. It's like they're there. It's like they're actually fans there. In Madden, it's like there's space. I have never seen that much space in an NFL stadium, let alone college stadium. So I don't know where they're getting all this space to walk and have elbow room, but for some reason in Madden they do, and it drives me. It just is like it just almost falls flat. Whereas at least for the 12th man and some of these other stadiums where I saw even App State when they're like doing that, I'm like,
Yeah.
but it looks like that place is packed, right?
Yeah.
If college game day, that place is going to be packed, and that is, I don't know. It was a nice touch. I'm glad to see that it feels really good, even if I don't have the game in my hands right now.
I mean, like I said, NCAA, EA Sports, if you want to send us a copy early, we'll give you a test run.
Yeah, you can even do one copy. We'll share it. Tubby will get it, use it for. It's totally fine. Totally fine.
We'll mail it back and forth. We'll be good.
We'll go old school. I'll download the game with the disc.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Should be a ton of fun. I do want them to give us more details, and I'm sure they will, about what is in the game itself, like what you'll be able to do. Because the most thing I can see is like ultimate teams and card packs, stuff like that, which honestly I don't care about.
I don't care. Yeah, I mean.
So just let me know. Am I going to be able to make upgrade to facilities? Am I going to be? What does NIL look like? What does the transfer portal look like? Can I make changes to the custom conferences, which you could in the last like 3 years of the game? You could previously.
Yeah.
So making sure you can still do some of that stuff, I think that'd help. Is this going to be an annual release, or is this going to be an update? Kind of like a Fortnite tips. There's lots of questions. I'm sure we'll learn. Y'all probably didn't tune in here to find out what we thought about the game, but we are excited about the game.
Yeah, it just takes you back to being a junior high kid and playing college football. Yeah, I'm so ready for it.
Yeah, I remember being over. We did paintball after football or something like that with Garrett and Greg.
Yeah,
and I remember staying up way too late playing that game.
Yeah,
I didn't have it. I didn't have it at home. I was like, dude, this is the best. So, all right, let's get into some college football. We'll get more into that as it's practically that time of year. There is top 10 rankings post spring. Maybe we can talk about that next time. I don't know if you've seen any of those lists yet, but there's some interesting takes on that. We did talk about some coaches last week, but right now I think there's some baseball news we got to get to, from gambling to cheating with more substances to someone who has more stolen bases than over half of Major League Baseball is one player, and it's not Ronald Acuna Jr. this year. There's a lot of stuff going on in the baseball world, so why not just kick it off right before we head into Memorial Day weekend, and maybe we'll have some buy or sell on these teams. We'll see what we got time for today. So, number one, Astros pitcher Ronel Blanco ejected for substance in it, and he now has a 10-game or 2-start suspension. How long do you think he's been using this stuff?
I don't know. It makes you wonder, because the guy was relatively
unknown.
It was very unknown up until this season. So it makes me think that he's probably been using it since the beginning of the season. And so it makes you kind of wondering I think it kind of puts a little stain on your no-hitter that you thrown. And it's just a typical Astros thing, I guess. I mean, cheaters are going to cheat.
Yeah. They're like, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Stop cheating. Just stop.
Yeah.
All that said, so the Astros, how obvious was this situation, though? Was this pine tar on the neck that you can see? Was this pine tar a little bit too high on the bat? I mean, how big of a deal was this of cheating? Like, was he good at hiding it at least?
No, it was right there on the heel of his glove.
Yeah.
And he was rubbing his hand on the heel of his glove, and then finally the umpire comes off the field, and he's like, he gone.
And that's the funny thing to me is like, dude, that's like one of the most common places people have put it in the past. Yeah. At least get creative.
Yeah, right? I mean, find something different. I mean, they're going to check the glove inside, like in the handhold and around the glove. Mm-hmm. They're going to check your hands. Mm-hmm. Figure something else out before you get yourself suspended. And now people look at you and go, yeah, that guy's a cheater. His no-hitter, yeah, it technically counts, but now we look at it and go, yeah, he did it cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well talk about. We've been dreading this moment for months since it was announced that they were going to have one. The Cardinals did release their City Connectors, but so did the Cleveland Guardians, I believe. And which one was worse?
Was it the Guardians that released? Yes. Honestly, I don't think the Cardinals one is that bad. It really is a pretty. It looks a lot like the original uniforms. Just you got the Lou across it, and then you got the STL, in a different way on the hat. I think it looks like kind of a clean, just a little bit slightly version.
Yeah.
The Guardians one, they're not bad. I think they're still. It seems like a lot of teams kind of contacted each other and said, "Oh, you're going to put this type of font on the front of your jerseys? We'll do that too," because we've kind of seen it, like with the Tigers and the Phillies, and now the Guardians kind of have the same kind of, I don't know, like little leaguey type feel font on them.
We are seeing more teams hopefully figure out go with white pants. Just stop it with these. You look like an adult softball league if you don't. So the red, you know what? I'll be a fan because it's not that bad. It could have been way worse. So I'll take it.
Now they have shown leaks of the Dodgers one, and
I'm gonna look those up real quick. LA Dodgers. What?
The logo on the hat, I'm like, who on earth thought of this? It's the dumbest thing. Basically, all they did was take the primary logo and then took the secondary logo and just stuck them on top of each other.
Ew.
So you got like that, cursive D that they do for like their spring training, like batting practice hats. And then in the middle of it, you got the LA logo. And then their jerseys.
What is that splatter?
Exactly. That's what all the Dodgers fans are trying to figure out.
I don't like it.
What's the story behind the colorful splatters on the jerseys? Yeah.
It's got to be something to do with Latin American, I think. I don't know.
I'm like, I knew they were going to mess them up like they did the other ones that were kind of weird and dumb. Yeah, the dark blue, and then they wore the black pants, and they messed them up. Again, congratulations, baseball. You guys suck at these City Connect jerseys.
Yeah, you suck at the jerseys, but it is what it is. At least next year they're going to go back to the bigger uniforms. I was watching the Yankees before this, and I was like, I don't know this relief pitcher, and I'm trying, and this isn't like a big screen TV. This is a normal average TV, and I'm sitting, I don't know, maybe my eyesight are bad. I couldn't read the guy's name on his jersey on the TV. Oh, yeah. I was like, this is why. Like, don't you want people to know the product? But anyway, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. So Paul Skenes had another start as well. Hit 100 pitches, and on his 100th pitch, hit 100 miles an hour, 11 Ks, 6 innings, looked great against the Cubs. Already his second career start against the Cubs. Is the hype train all aboard? Are you like someone put the comment and said, man, the dude is a beast, but he's just a ticking time bomb until that arm explodes. Where are you on the fence?
That's where I think the kid is absolutely an ace. You watch the stuff. and the stuff is just absolute filth. And when he controls his pitches to all quadrants of the strike zone, and that's where you look at it the most. He can place his pitches even with throwing as hard as he can. It's the worry that we all. I mean, more than likely, with the norm, he's going to end up injured, and he's going to more than likely have to have a Tommy John procedure at some point. We all hope not, because we all know. I mean, I don't know if we all know. I've been sold on him since watching him pitch last year at LSU. I was like, this kid is for real. I thought there's a chance that he could have just immediately been on the Pirates roster as soon as he got drafted. He was that good, and the first start wasn't the best, but man, that start the other day against the Cubs, that shows you exactly what the potential is for him and where the ceiling is going for that guy. That we're looking at a kid that is going to be, in the next couple of years, one of the best pitchers in baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is a team that had Garrett Cole before he went with free agency, and so they've had good. I mean, Garrett Cole hit a whole nother level when he went to Houston. Weird.
Yeah.
And then now he's what he is now. But this is a team that really needs that ace. They hadn't had that ace in years, so that could be helpful. The other news we had this week was another betting scandal tied to the Los Angeles Angels, also the Kansas City Royals inadvertently. There was a best friend who used the same bookie who bet on Angels games.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. So I don't even remember who that guy's name, but there's
David Fletcher.
No, he's the one who played for the Angels, but David Fletcher's friend did it. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not great. Permanent ban if you bet on baseball on your team, I think, and then it is a 1-year ban if you bet on baseball itself. I think is what it was. Permanent if you bet on your team. So, I don't know. Are you starting to question at all your boy?
No. He was good. Yeah, I think they said he was good friends with Shohei, but I think it was probably because, from what I have understood, is that David Fletcher was the one that introduced Ipe to the bookie.
Okay.
And so that's where I'm like, I think that's probably what happened, or maybe it was vice versa, whatever. But yeah, I mean, the thing is all those bets that were, the interpreters, none of them were on baseball. None of them were on the Angels. So it's, even if it was Shohei, he never bet, directly against the game. But I don't think he just doesn't seem like that type of person that would go out and bet on it. And then they have phone records and all this other stuff. So everyone's still like, oh, it was definitely Shohei. And I'm like, I mean, you got to show me the evidence before I believe it. I'm not going to just go, oh, yeah, it had to have been him. But, yeah, I don't think anything of it ties back to him. But if
there's one more player from the Angels that it does tie back to, does baseball have to reopen? Because,
I mean,
1, okay, 2, okay, that's a coincidence. 3 is a pattern. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, they're still investigating. It's still not a closed deal. They said, from all the evidence that we have gathered, there's not enough. We don't have any that points to Shohei for us to suspend him, until then. And like you said, David Fletcher, from what I have read before, and this is before like the big news came out that he bet against, the Angels and stuff like that, and bet against baseball. It was that David Fletcher was the one that had introduced Ipe to the bookie. So it sounds like they had a David Fletcher problem to begin with.
Yeah.
And if it comes out, he may have been the one that was kind of setting everyone else up to do this.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Just want to stir the pot, okay? Your Dodgers are just too fun, too good.
I mean,
reality check. Good. So before we're about to get into some hot or cold, buy or sell, that kind of thing, with almost at that Memorial Day point in the season. But before we get to that, Elle de la Cruz, 30 stolen bases, at least going into today. It's more than 18 other MLB teams. That's absolutely insane. What, I mean, is this dude the next Mike Trout? Like, storm? I understand he's not going to hit the ball 300 like Mike Trout could, but is he the next, that talented player coming up?
I mean, it'd be fun for baseball if he is. I don't know if he can quite reach that mark, but it's fun watching him play. I mean, the guy is electric. Watching him just run the bases, and I'm glad that they've changed the rules for this, because I think it makes the game so much exciting to watch. Because before, no one's stealing bases, and you're just kind of standing there in the stagnant game. I mean, the other day, even when it was against the Dodgers, he goes 4 for 4, or starts out 4 for 4 stolen bases, then tries to get the go 5 for 5 and just barely gets thrown out, and you're just like, it makes the game so much more interactive, and it catches your attention, because you're not just seeing the guy stand 2 feet from first base and just stand there and waiting for another guy to either hit the ball or strike out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I like it. I wish the Cardinals steal more bases, but they don't. All right, so let's go into, hey, it's almost that time of year where you either declared, hey, we're going to be selling come deadline in July, or at the end of July, or we're going to be buyers. There's a couple teams that are automatically going to be buyers. You got Baltimore, New York Yankees. I would say we can get the Guardians, but I think Guardians could potentially be one of those teams. There's really not. You probably would say the Rangers, just because they won it last year, but how much of a buyer? So we'll get to that. But Phillies, Braves, Brewers, Dodgers, of course. But those are the ones. We know that they're going to buy. The sellers, Colorado Rockies, more than likely, maybe some of the Reds. Just depends. Marlins for sure. Probably the Mets, Angels, Oakland Athletics. We can only say that so much longer, so we need to make sure we sneak those in. The Chicago White Sox, and then possibly the Blue Jays. We just don't know. But there's a lot of teams in the middle there. Any of those teams that I said, buyer or seller, or hey, your season's pretty much is what it is, let's face the facts. Any of those that you would disagree with?
I think that I don't think we see the Reds sell. I don't think that I think that they've got the young guys. I think that there's not a whole lot of. I mean, maybe they sell like a guy like Jonathan India. I could see that potentially. I mean, maybe depends on where they're at in the next week or so. If maybe they sell a guy like a Frankie Montes, who's pitched, okay, had a couple rough starts, but I still think that that division's still wide open still, and so it makes it hard for me to think that maybe the Brewers would be buyers, just because, I mean, I'm still not completely sold on the Brewers right at this point.
Yeah, one of the best hitters in baseball out there, William Contreras, dude, can't get out.
Yeah, they've got some good pieces and everything. I'm still waiting for. I think the pitching is going to be a problem at some point. Yeah. I don't trust the rest of the rotation, past Peralta. So I think those guys. I think the NL Central is tough to kind of pinpoint what they'll do. I think you could potentially see the Cardinals, just because I don't know what they're going to do at this point.
Someone put, how you can say happy birthday, Tubby on the thing. Someone put happy birthday, Tubby, please fire Marmol. And that made it on the screen. Not the big one, but the one that shows like how fast the pitch was. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, we could see them potentially trade, maybe they are in this point now where they go, okay, it's time to rebuild. And trade a Goldschmidt, maybe trade a Arenado, and a couple of these guys that have sizable contracts, and try to recruit some decent farms, players to try to build up their farm system even more. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. The one name I think will be very interesting to see is Mason Miller, the relief pitcher from the Athletics. The kid came out of nowhere, and he's just been lights out, dominant closer. And there's a lot of buzz, he's, with these teams that are in the playoff hunt, and we expect to be in the playoffs, division leaders, calling them up about, the availability. Man, as much as great as he has been, if I'm the A's, highest bidder takes him, because relief pitchers ain't gonna build a team.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
that's like usually one of those last pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, who has the most prospects? If who's willing to give up the most, let's have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. What's stupid scary about that same division? We talked about. We even talked
Yeah.
about it earlier. Stupid Astros won 6 in a row. This is the same thing they did the year before, and I'm so tired of it. They're 20-25 now, which isn't
Yeah.
great, but I mean, so dumb.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we see another rough patch here where they go like, oh, they lost 8 out of 10, and they're starting to maybe sell some guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to hope, man. It's
Yeah.
Jung Ho Lee, right? We almost missed
Yeah.
that. Out
Yeah.
for this season. Was it shoulder? Is that what it was?
Shoulder. Yep.
Shoulder surgery. So he was already not performing well. I'm gonna say, and I want your opinion on this. I mean, you are a Dodgers fan, so you don't like the Giants, but obviously you like baseball talent. This is not a bust. This is unfortunately, it's an injury to start a year where he struggled a little bit. But this dude is so young. I'm not worried about it right now. But what do you? How should Giants fans feel?
Yeah, I think you should feel bummed that you kind of get robbed of a young player that you played decent. I think most people that realize when they looked at things that he probably was going to struggle to begin, because before this year, like in the Korean League, he had never seen a pitch faster than 94 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And coming into baseball, you're going to have guys like a Paul Skenes that threw 18 pitches over 100 miles an hour in his first start.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a lot of pitchers that are well above that mark, and it's a big timing difference compared to where, you may have been a 320 something, hit 320 something in Korea, but you're hitting off guys where you've got the timing of, oh, okay, well, I know what a 94 looks like. Now you're trying to get your eye to recognize, okay, this ball's coming at me 101, 97 miles an hour consistently, trying to get that timing down. Yeah. And so I think we all expected him to struggle a little bit. And so, definitely not a bust for him. It's just, it's a stinker because, one of your higher,
Dude, Giants can't buy a break.
No.
I will say they did buy a break in not getting Correa.
That they did.
That one worked out okay.
That they did.
Do your Dallas Mavericks close out the series tonight in Dallas?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I don't know. I don't want to put it in those terms, but I think they broke the OKC's will in that last game.
That was brutal.
I mean, held them to 92 points, 94 points, something like that. Shea really hasn't had any help outside of Dort having a couple, big games, knocking down some threes. Jalen Williams hasn't really showed up. Chet Holmgren hasn't really showed up. For them to get, back into the series and have a chance, they're going to need Jalen Williams to have his best game of the postseason. They're going to need Chet Holmgren to have their best game. I'm a big Mavs fan, but I absolutely cannot stand to watch Luka play basketball.
Luka?
Yeah, absolutely. Watching this series has absolutely just made me go, this is why I don't watch basketball anymore right now. Wow. It's the constant crying. The constant crying. And this last game, he doesn't cry as much, and he has his best game of the series, and they probably have their best game of the series. And I'm like, see, you don't cry, and you just focus on playing the game. You actually play pretty good. But the constant whining and crying after everything is so annoying.
So you can either watch that game with the chance for them to go to the Western Conference Finals, or you get to watch Elle de la Cruz versus Shohei Ohtani tonight at 8 o'clock. Which are you watching?
I mean, I'll watch the Mavs game just because.
I'm just curious. Elle and Shohei. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's a chance to close out the series. It's playoffs. But, yeah, dude, just play basketball. That's all you got to do. The crying is – and I'm with the Oklahoma City fans. They're like, all he does is whine and cry. I'm there with you. I'm a Mavs fan, and I cannot stand it one bit.
It's my favorite thing right now. Tonight's going to be – you're going to watch the game. You're going to be locked in. It'll be a good game. Maybe he doesn't cry as much, but Elle goes 4 for 4 with 4 home runs, 4 stolen bases. Shohei has a 3 for 5 game with 2 home runs, a grand slam, and a double, and they win like 9-8. Like, just wait. You're gonna miss that game.
More than likely, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, that was. I mean, I love this. Stop the crying. That was one of the biggest, or one of the longest, but that was a pretty solid rant you guys got from Tubby right there. It's one of my favorite things. Do you remember we titled that episode? I think it was after the Packers had a loss, and I was like, the title was Tubby Goes on a Rant.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite ones.
The
Oh,
rant
man.
part 2.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, well, guys, that is the episode for this week on the W Sports Podcast. Thank you guys so much for downloading and watching and just joining us wherever it is that you consume podcasts. Know that you can continue to find us over on the social medias. Search the W Sports Podcast. You can do our link tree. Link tree, right? Is that what it is?
Yep. Link tree.
And then you can find all those so you can make sure you're in the know with all of the stuff that's happening, whether it's just our small videos that we put up on social media. Thank you so much to Tubby for putting those together, or it's the once a week episode that we do for about an hour every week. We love you all. Thank you so much for the support, and we can't wait to see you all next time. Till then, see ya.
See ya.